Hey guys, Scott Fishman here. Fresh off her big knockouts victory, her landmark knockouts victory in the first ever Queen of the Mountain match. We have Jordynne Grace here, a fellow dog lover. Hey Jordynne, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. We saw the video on the Impact social media, just how much this win means to you. Just compare winning the title this past weekend at Slammiversary to the first time.
It's a completely 100% different experience. The first time I won it was actually on a set of TV tapings in Mexico. And the TV tapings, obviously, you can't say anything about it for like a few weeks. So I think I had to wait like 3 weeks until after I had won the title to post anything about it. And this was a live event. It was the first ever Queen of the Mountain match, and it was their 20th anniversary show. So it was perfect. Like this was so much better than my first time.
One of the things about the Queen of the Mountain match, the rules, it's hard. Sometimes it could be hard to follow. I just can't imagine. Just take us through just putting this match together. I know Gail Kim's been a big part of the knockouts and producing the knockouts division, but when you find out you're going to be doing this match and there's so many moving parts and you guys just made it in a way that, everyone kind of has gotten time to shine. So take me through how that went through and just, did you feel any added pressure knowing that it was the first one?
Okay, I'll answer your last question first. Yes, 100%, especially because not only is it the first one, it's the first one that the women have to do. And I feel like as women, we have so much more pressure on us to perform at a high level. And on top of that, it seemed like from the comments on social media that everybody seemed to hate this match concept in general. So we were kind of like going up two different hills at once in that aspect. But as far as putting it together, we actually, between the last set of tapings and the pay-per-view, we had 6 weeks off. So we had a group chat going. We sent each other's different ideas for the match. I clarified any rules that are confusing with Impact Management. One of the little known rules about the King of the Mountain matches is that it's also false count anywhere. So I thought that was awesome. It was a very underutilized rule. I watched all 12 of the last matches so many times over and over and over again. So when you say it's hard to follow, I think to myself, oh, it's not hard to follow. But I have to realize that I watched 12 matches like 5 times each. So it's not hard for me to follow anymore. But yeah, we had that group chat going the night before the pay-per-view. A bunch of the girls got together and we just basically had the format of the match down. And the day of, that's when we practiced the big things. We practiced Mia's big ladder spot. We made sure everything was in place with the tables, which was like, the big go home spot essentially where Chelsea and Gianna went through the tables at the bottom. And yeah, we just made sure everything was a go.
How does it feel to be a part of this, knockouts division? There's such a camaraderie there. It seems like there's this bond that I don't know if you really see in, the other companies when it comes to just how close that you mentioned being on a group chat all the time. I mean, it seems like there is such a bond there right now when it comes to the knockouts division.
Yeah, I haven't worked for WWE or AEW, so I can't necessarily speak to how close they are, if they have any group chats going or how that works. But I think that one of the reasons the knockouts get along so well and we do all this stuff together is because Impact gives the girls so many opportunities to, like, everybody at Impact is a storyline going constantly. So I know at WWE and AEW, they have a lot of women signed. So I'm sure, and not very much TV time goes to the women. So I'm sure there's a lot more competition there, and there's a lot more resentment and disdain for each other. So I could definitely see that being a thing. But at Impact, that's not really a big problem because we all get our time to shine.
When it comes to, there's so much collaboration going on with different women's divisions. If you had your way, who are some of the women that you would love to see work with or walk through that proverbial forbidden door?
So in AEW, I would definitely, obviously, I hear this all the time. I get tagged in all of Jade Cargill's posts about when we're going to wrestle. She actually lives here in Atlanta. We've trained together a few times. So I think that would be awesome to wrestle her. We're two very, very strong women. Britt Baker would be great to wrestle. I've wrestled Thunder Rosa before, but of course, it'd be awesome to wrestle her on a bigger stage. And then over in WWE, I know I follow Rhea Ripley on Twitter. So I think that we would have an absolute banger of a match. Just honestly, there's not a lot of women that you could say their name and I could be like, oh, I don't want to wrestle them, because I just want to wrestle everybody.
Yeah, and that's male or female. It seems you're up for anything. It seems, whether it's a tag team match or singles match.
Oh yeah, bring it
when
on.
do you still have a goal in mind of becoming the Impact champion as well?
Yes, that's my biggest goal before I retire or before I leave Impact. Whichever happens first, is I definitely want to be the first person in history, not the first woman, the first person to hold all of the titles at Impact.
Wow. So as far as tag team partner, who would be your ideal partner to go after? I guess you would need a partner to go after the Knockouts tag titles, but then you need
I've already held the Knockouts tag titles.
Right. But I mean, as far as
albeit
like,
very briefly,
the regular ones, the male
yeah,
ones.
so I would think I would definitely pick Josh Alexander, because I actually tweeted this the other day. Collectively, we have held every title at Impact at some point.
Do you do anything when you win a match? I mean, do you have a cheat meal? Do you just have something to mark the occasion?
Oh yeah, I go back to my hotel room. I eat like shit. I hang out with people. I'm sorry, I don't know if I can cuss or not, but yeah, I eat a lot of bad food. I usually take an edible and just like vibing.
While you're watching
yeah,
King of the Mountain matches, right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I definitely like to have a good time after a win like that.
Gotcha. One of the great things about you have such an entrepreneurial mind, you and Jonathan Grisham, when it comes to thinking about just not only what you're doing and the company they're working for, but just creatively. Talk about, it's so cool right now to see how wrestlers are really taking their platform and kind of parlaying it into other interests, but also kind of doing it in a way to bond closer, build that bond with the fans. So, I think, I don't know, I think it was you that had tweeted out just, that how lucrative this could also be. And people don't really think of it. We look at you guys as, these are stars on TV, but we don't think about, you guys are human beings. This is kind of a livelihood for you guys. This is a career, this is like, we're going to work. So for you, just talk about just how this evolution of the creator of a pro wrestler and being that brand and kind of using that platform in different ways, whether even if it's an OnlyFans or if it's a Patreon or something like that, or a YouTube channel.
So it's good that you asked that, because I think professional wrestling is it's so different from anything else. It's such a niche category, because obviously professional athletes get paid way more than we do. Like NFL stars, they might have a finite time in their career, but they're making millions and millions of dollars. The vast majority of pro wrestlers are not making that kind of money at all. And also their shelf life, who knows, you could get hurt at any moment, right? And I also compare us to actors too, but actors they can do it their whole entire careers. You see actors going for 50, 60 years before they finally retire, and they're also getting paid so much money. So wrestlers, it's so different, because not only do we have a finite time in wrestling, there's no guarantee that we're going to ever make even anywhere close to $1 million. So we have to do everything we can during our time, basically at the top or in the middle or wherever it is, whenever we're getting recognized, to try to generate revenue and income. And that's where things like, Patreon, our websites, Twitch, stuff like that, that's where that stuff can come in, because especially as a woman, you don't see very many women over the age of 35 getting signed by companies. Men over the age of 35 get signed all the time, but especially as a woman, I feel like you really have to grind. And if you want to retire at a decent time without, killing your body and not have to work a 9 to 5 again, then you really need to save up money and have a retirement fund going, have a 401k, and be doing all this stuff while you're actively wrestling.
And not only that, but you're married to another wrestler. So you guys are both maybe one injury away from, not having your the way you make money. So how do you guys kind of talk about that? Talk about the seriousness of that and just how you prepare for what could happen? Because it seems like you have that future in mind, that you guys are thinking about that future.
Yeah, so really, God bless, Patreon and all these other platforms that we use to generate money, because those are the main reasons during the pandemic that we weren't struggling. Like, honestly, during the pandemic, that's when we started making the most amount of money, because we learned how to take advantage of these online platforms. So when we started doing that, we ended up, getting a financial advisor and basically had him set us up a plan so that if anything ever did happen to us, we would be okay. So we have an emergency fund, we have our retirement accounts, we have stocks, we have all that stuff set. Now, just in the past few years, after learning how to utilize those online platforms and generate more income.
One of the things was interesting is also you were also writing columns for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. One of the ones that I really enjoyed is the one that you wrote about having pets. Just talk about your love of pets. I mean, I think Deanna, I think I was with her one during a signing or something, and she mentioned that you texted her, and it was like, oh, she got another dog or something like that. So tell me what they mean to you. I mean, as far as for mental health and your home, but also what they bring and why you're so passionate about, animals. And
So me and my husband, we don't obviously it could happen, but we don't plan on having kids anytime soon, if ever. So our dogs and our pets are really like our babies. Like that's how we treat them. Obviously they're just a little bit less responsibility than actual children, so that helps too. But we do love them. We do pretty much everything with them. That they're one of the reasons why I stopped taking independent bookings as much, because I just want to stay home with my pets all the time. Like that's just what I want to do. I absolutely adore them.
Beyond wrestling, what are some things that you obviously you have that passion for, you've done the columns for writing, you're creating with photography and videos and things. What are some of the other things, but if you weren't wrestling or even after your wrestling career, what are some things that you're thinking about beyond the ring?
I wish I could tell you, to be completely honest with you. I think about that question probably at least once a day. I wish I had some kind of other hobby or something else I could do, but I really just wrestle, go to the gym, eat, and that's pretty much it. But it's a joke right now, but I would love to make it a reality. I would love to have a dog farm one day. That's like my ultimate dream, is just to like to have a house in the country and have like 1 billion dogs. Like that would be awesome, like a dog sanctuary.
That sounds like a reality show you just set up, I think, a premise. One of the things you talk about going to the gym, and you're also breaking your records when it comes to that. I mean, how hard is it, as we've picked up now with scheduling, how hard is it to kind of maintain that dedication to working out and staying in shape and getting to that point? Because you're at a point where people are looking at you and they expect a certain way, and you have that additional pressure of being a woman. This is the nature of the beast, unfortunately, in the entertainment industry at this point. So talk about that in the past year, especially, coming out of the pandemic and being on tour more.
So lucky, like I just said, for me, I haven't been taking very many independent bookings anytime soon, like mostly because I don't feel like I need to do it that much anymore. Some of them are just not worth the stress. They're not worth the time it takes to get to the show, do the show. Some of the promoters are kind of strange sometimes, so you never know. It's kind of like, it's kind of random. But so with Impact, every 2 weeks we pretty much go to a show, and I find it very easy to stay on track with just having Impact. Mainly because I have a gym partner who is Josh Alexander, and he makes sure that I make sure he goes to the gym. He makes sure I go to the gym. So we're lucky to have each other on that aspect. But other than that, like things are pretty easy, like, cause I stay home most of the time. The one thing I do have a problem with on the road is dieting, because Impact is notorious for just bringing in cookies, and Tommy Dreamer constantly has packages of Oreos he's trying to give away. We have an Impact candy bowl that they bring in, and just like it's crazy. So that's my hardest thing, is like not eating all the sweets at Impact.
The catering there, or people bringing in sweets. Okay. Now, there's a lot of what's fun about the women's division knockouts. It's so competitive. And, when people get let go from a company or someone moves on, there's always people that are like, okay, where are they going to go next? And, Saraya Page, now she's leaving WWE. Everyone's wondering what her next move. A lot of fans want to see her in Impact. What are your kind of thoughts on her and the potential of, and what she can bring even in a non-wrestling role?
Oh man, I think she would be incredible. She's so well known. She's one of the women that started the women's revolution. So I think it'd be vital for any company to have her and utilize her, even if it's not in a wrestling role. Something that stood out to me was, I think she had said she feels 100%, but she's not cleared. So I'm not 100% sure if she just. Sorry, someone's calling me right now. I don't know why. Sorry about that.
All right.
So I don't know if she just hasn't talked to a doctor or what the deal is with that, but obviously I would absolutely love to wrestle her. But if not wrestle her, I think she could do any number of things in wrestling. She's been creating content and doing all kinds of stuff while she's been recovering. So I think she could do any number of things.
So with you, when it comes to being a star on social media too, you're not afraid to clap back when it comes to whether it's a fan or a troll or anything like that. How is it managing for you being able to do that? Do you have something that maybe, because I know there's people have gotten, mail at their legitimate house. So technology is kind of a scary thing at this point. So how do you draw that line, or how do you kind of manage those waters when it comes to whether it's social media or, the interaction with the fans, and maybe avoiding some of those creepers that might be lurking?
Yeah, I've gotten mail sent to my house before too. It's the weirdest feeling. But basically it's very like an impulse thing, honestly. Like if a fan, and it shouldn't be, because you know that these people are just wanting the attention and they're wanting a reaction, but it's definitely a difficult thing sometimes. And maybe I should be a little bit more afraid to clap back, because it seems like more and more people just, they want to point out the negative. They don't really want to talk about anything positive. They want to just, bury you basically. I don't know when becoming like a dickhead became a sense of humor, but that's been like a really popular thing lately that people have just made a thing. So I'm kind of afraid of that a little bit, to be honest. But yeah, I just, if someone says something illogical, that's when I'll say something back, usually when it's more fact based, or it can be disproven. Like if someone says, "Oh, you look like a man," I'm just like, okay, well, I don't know what to say to that. Like that's your personal opinion. So there's not much I could say to that. But just actually today, someone commented on the ladder spot with Chelsea and Diana and said that Chelsea smacked her head against the ground. And so I said something like, "No, she didn't." And then Chelsea responded and was like, "I did not smack my head against the ground." So just things like that can be disproven. Those are the ones that I like to just respond to the most.
When you have such tough skin, is there anything that really had affected you emotionally, and how'd you kind of get through that?
Honestly, no, nothing people say really affects me anymore, to be honest with you. Okay, that's a lie. When people talk about my husband, that is my biggest pet peeve. I will say that I have a very difficult time holding back any emotion when people start talking about my husband. Like that's one of the big ones.
So PSA, don't mess with Jordan's husband.
Yeah, but I think actually, I said that one time. I said, like when people talk about my husband, that's when I react. And then John suddenly started getting a lot of like hate messages and people talking about him. And he was like, "Oh, I wish you hadn't said that, because now they're just trying to get your attention." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, you're probably right."
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So
yeah, pretty
you might
much.
as well have some fun with it. Just lastly, just now that you have the Knockouts Championship, I feel like, with Slammiversary, it's kind of a new chapter, like moving to the next phase of this evolution. It seems like Impact has kind of rebuilt itself. It's they had a lot of just a dark cloud over them, it felt like, which is unfortunate, because I feel like creatively you guys are doing, you're running on all cylinders and doing some of your best work. And I just wish you guys had a bigger platform, just like, I'm sure you all, that frustration is probably echoed through the locker room. But for you, talk about just being Knockouts champion and kind of what you want this reign to be, and what we can look forward to now that you're back on the Queen of the Mountain again.
So I've been saying it in every interview I've been doing this media tour. The main thing is, as Knockouts champion, I want to get more people to watch Impact. So I feel like obviously I can't do that myself, but if I can keep having like incredible bangers of matches, I feel like it's going to force people to actually come and not just watch my match, but to watch the entire Impact Wrestling show, because we don't do bad pay-per-views anymore. I cannot remember the last time that Impact has had a bad pay-per-view. And like you just said, we're really firing on all cylinders. Scott D'Amore is an amazing boss. We have an incredible creative team. Robert Evans, Jimmy Jacobs, Gail Kim, like it's an unbeatable team. I don't know why fans aren't giving us that opportunity to shine again, but I definitely think we need more eyes on us.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hopefully you do get that because you all are very well deserving. One thing that Impact in its 20 years has not been short of is talent. So I definitely appreciate that. Jordynne, thank you so much for the time. Congrats on everything. Definitely looking forward to what you make of this title reign.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.